Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Niagara Business Development Group Successful Student Podcast Series, brought to you by Maria Rekrut and the Rekrut Publishing House. My name is Katelyn Hillman, and I'll be your host. Today, we'll be talking about a topic that is probably all too relatable to most of us, bullying. Unfortunately, bullying affects over 160,000 students a day, and it doesn't stop in schools. Victims of bullying may feel like it's impossible to overcome, but we want students to know that it is possible to live a successful life despite being bullied. In fact, many of today's most successful people have been bullied throughout their lives. To help us, we have a very special guest that is sure to inspire us all. Please welcome author and bullying expert, Jill Vanderwood. Thanks for joining us today, Jill. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write Erase the Problem of Bullying?
Okay. Well, I'm an author of 8 books, and I like to write about issues with a lot of children and young adults, and I also have written one book for adults, which is called Shaking Behind the Microphone, Overcoming the Fear of Public Speaking. And a lot of my problems in my life have been based because I had been bullied in the 5th grade. And when I was bullied at school, I kind of made a vow with myself that I would never do anything again to call attention to myself, because anytime I would call attention to myself, then I would feel like someone would bully me. So I kind of carried that around with me throughout my life and didn't want to do anything to call attention to myself. And eventually that made me into a writer, because my writing came from not being able to communicate, so I would write everything down, and then that became my passion. My bullying was in the 5th grade, and all the boys in the class decided to get me back because I told on one of their friends for something really stupid. It was stealing my eraser. So it wasn't anything big. And they did this bullying for the whole year. And one time the girls in the class decided that they were going to get even with the boys, so they elected me the class president. And as a class president, I had to stand up and call the class to order. And the boys wouldn't stop. They were calling me names. They were throwing things at me and laughing. And I just said I resign, and I sat down. So then their candidate was the president. And my bullying, along with the bullying that was going on with my granddaughter, led me to write this book, because I knew that another generation was going through this, and I wanted to find out what kids were doing and how they were handling bullying and that sort of thing. So she kind of helped me, but she didn't want her name in the book because she was afraid that the bullying would come back to her. So I wrote the book based on her problems and trying to help her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know elementary school kids especially, and even in middle school, they're relentless. Like, they don't really care, and they'll just stop at nothing. And then I know sometimes, though, like, you can just have, like, your friends can say, like, what would be seemingly hurtful things, but they're just joking. How can you really tell the difference, and where should you draw the line where playful teasing to bullying or even harassment?
Okay, well, bullying, if I tell you the definition of bullying, that might help. Now, teasing would be when your friends know you so well and they've seen you do embarrassing things, and they'll bring that up at all times, and it hurts your feelings. But sometimes that could even end up with a punching fight if you're not careful. So that would mostly be teasing, when you're just saying things that might hurt somebody, but they don't mean it viciously. And then harassment would be when a person maybe they're called out because of their race or their religion or their sexual orientation, and they're actually using those terms. They're using a racial term, or they're using a thing against your religion. They're they're actually using that in the conversation. So you know that they're harassing you because of that. And then discrimination is when you don't get accepted to something because of your race or religion or sexual orientation. So say you're not making it to the baseball team because of your race or because you're a Muslim or something. So that would be discrimination, and the harassment and the discrimination are illegal, and you can actually have a court case because of them, because that's not allowed in schools or in workplaces. So if you can prove that that's what's going on, you could actually have a legal case.
Does it take a lot? Like if someone was in that situation and they wanted to try to prove it, does it take a lot to get that proven? Or
well, say that somebody has written something down and you have it, as you keep that as a record, or you write down every time that they say this thing to you and you bring that up. For instance, even as an adult, I know a woman who was working in a workplace for a long time, and she was brought into a meeting, and they were saying that her age was an issue now with her job, and that they wanted to get somebody younger, and she had them give her the notes of the meeting, and she could use that as discrimination. So if you have any kind of written proof, or they've written a message on Facebook or anything, keep that record. You can make a screenshot and you can capture that, or keep the email or anything you have like that.
Oh, yeah. And then other than keeping things like that, I know there's a lot of words of wisdom, I guess you could say, out there on what to do if you're being bullied, which range from ignoring it or fighting back. What would you suggest would be one of the some of the best things to do if you want to try and stop the problem?
Well, sometimes it is, all those things that you've heard are ways to work on the problem, and different ones work for different people, so you can try some of those things. One of the girls that was being bullied actually laughed every time the bully would say something, and then the bullies didn't want to do it anymore because it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, because they're not getting their satisfaction. Then.
Yeah, and then one of the things I would recommend is tell somebody. Don't keep that inside, because it's eating you up and it's hurting you. And you need to tell somebody, and if that person can't do anything about it, then tell somebody else. But have somebody on your side, and know that you're not the only one that's being bullied. You're not. Other people are being bullied, and maybe together you can solve the problem.
Yeah, so kind of like a power in numbers kind of deal.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I know, and there's a lot of people that get bullied, and I know that a lot of those people tend to get discouraged. What would you tell someone who feels like they might not ever be successful just because that's what their bullies have been telling them for years?
Well, I've interviewed a lot of people for this book, and I interviewed a man who is a NBA all-star basketball player, and he was told that he was no good at playing basketball, and the bullies were tormenting him in the locker room and even in the hallway, trying to pull down his pants. They were trying to trip him, and he got so discouraged that he didn't want to play basketball anymore. And this was in high school, so he had a coach that helped him, and the coach would blacken the windows on the gym, and he would let him practice without anybody watching him or making fun of him. And then it kept going to where every time he'd make an excuse, the coach wouldn't let him get out of it. He would just tell him, you are good. And he had somebody on his side. And he went all the way to the University of Washington and then to the NBA. And
wow.
He became an all-star, yeah. And even though the bullying didn't get him down, and he did become successful. And then I interviewed another young man who was a finalist in America's Got Talent. And he had bullies at school telling him, why do you can't play with the boys because you're a girl. And people telling him he was a gay child, even though he didn't know what that meant, and they were making fun of him, and he would go in a talent show at school and they would boo him, and his talent was so good in singing. He was trained by his mother, who was also an opera singer, and one day he decided, I'm not going to perform anymore, I will just perform for my family. And somehow on a whim he went and made a tape for America's Got Talent, and he did have the talent, and the bullies didn't get the best of him, and he ended up being a semifinalist on America's Got Talent.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'm glad that so many people are able to actually pass through the bullies and go on and live their dreams and everything, because other people shouldn't be able to tell you how to live your life or stop you from doing what you love.
That's true. And a lot of people have a talent, and they know that, you know, what you were good at when you were younger before the bullies came along. Remember what that was. Were you good at singing? Were you good at artwork? What were your talents? And what talents have you hidden all these years? And find those talents and work on those. And there was one boy that found out that he was good at playing tennis, and at school he was just being bullied, and he didn't want the people to know that he played tennis, so he did this on his own, and he met new friends at the tennis court, and he went all over the country playing tennis, but these bullies at school didn't have to know, and they didn't bully him about that. And then a girl was having trouble at school, so she was her sister told her to go ahead and work really hard at school to become something, and don't let the bullies stop you. And she became an international ambassador, and she went around to different countries and spoke to kids in other countries, so that the bullies didn't keep her from her talents.
That's really inspiring to hear success stories like that. Now that we've heard a little bit of your insight on bullying, would you like to talk about your other books and other aspects of your career?
Well, I started writing, like I said, because I was bullied, and I developed the talent of writing because I needed some kind of communication skills. And then I started becoming a speaker and teaching other writers how to write and different things like that. And at first that was really hard for me because I couldn't talk to people. So my first book that I wrote was called Through the Rug, and I started writing fiction, and there's stories about a grandmother who did magical adventures with her grandchildren, and I had a lot of fun with that. And then I've done some picture books, and then together with one of my granddaughters, we wrote a book called Drugs Make You Unsmarter. And it starts out with her story. She was growing up with a father who was in prison for drugs and alcohol abuse, and he ended up in prison most of her life. And then she had a brother who was having parties in the house while she was growing up, and people would knock on her bedroom door just to ask her if she wanted to do drugs in her own house.
Oh, wow.
So she wasn't able to get away from that. And she tells about her story, how her family was, and how she decided that's not the life for her. And then we interviewed people about their family members and the drugs and alcohol that they had experienced, and kids who had been successful and avoided drugs and alcohol altogether and decided, that they could become something if they avoided these kind of distractions. So that was a book that I wrote with my granddaughter, and we had a lot of fun with that.
Do you have any other specific goals or anything that you hope to achieve when readers read your books?
Well, I would really like to help young people, and so I'm picking subjects that are really modern and, still a problem. Maybe bullying started in the Bible, but it's still a problem today. So I want to get people's voices out there and let them tell their stories. So I put the stories together in these books, and then I go around and talk to kids about bullying and drugs, and that's some of my goals. And I'm going to continue writing. My next book I plan is to give a voice to kids who are being raised in LBGT families and what their lives are like, because people think that maybe they're not going to turn out good because they have two gay parents, but they're more normal than people think. And I think if people start to understand people that are different from them, then they can realize that, we're all more the same than we are different.
It's incredible that people have your books to turn to and use as a great resource if they need help or something. If someone's listening and they think, wow, I really like that, or wow, I could really use Jill's help, where can they go to find your books?
Well, my books are all available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, and you could order them also through the bookstore if you want to. And then I have a website that's Jill Vanderwood, VANDERWOOD.com.
Okay, great. Thank you, and thank you once again for speaking with us. Before we wrap things up here, would you like to offer any last words of advice or anything that you would like to let our listeners know?
Well, I think that if you are being bullied, then you need to get some help, because we don't want anybody to let their life slip away. We don't want people to get to the point where they think that they cannot achieve anything in their life. We want them to be successful. And there is success even after you are being bullied. And the name of my book is Erase the Problem of Bullying by Jill Vanderwood.
Okay, and I'll be sure to include everything in the description of the video too. But yeah, that's, I think, all we have for today. Thank you once again for speaking with me, and I'm glad we finally got to do this after all the technical difficulties we've been having.
Me too.
I'm really glad.
Thank you for your persistence.
Not a problem. And yeah, thanks once more for speaking with us, and you have a great rest of your night.